These are these are not human beings. They are demons wearing human flesh. The goal of Republicans in this instance is to maximize the suffering of as many people as possible.
Here I am, Nancy Pelosi, saying this country needs a strong Republican Party, and we do. Not a cult, but a strong Republican Party.
The problem with this little theory of theirs is that the modern-day Republican Party, the actual Republican Party, is a psychotic pit, a dumpster fire of conspiracy theories and a desire to personally murder every minority that lives within the borders of this country.
Vaush's attack strategy against Republicans can really be boiled down to assume the craziest fringe of the party is actually the norm. Going as far as to say their only objective is to cause you pain. Not that they have any sort of fundamental disagreement. And it's just really hard to take anything he says seriously when the well is poisoned so thoroughly.
Like, a lot of people make the mistake of analyzing conservative politics from a framework of rationality, you know? Why do they oppose healthcare reform? Why do they do this, even though it seems to be so harmful? Well, there must be a reason. The reason is because they hate you. These are these are not human beings. They are demons wearing human flesh.
How on earth did this guy establish himself as any sort of authority in the political space? Oh yeah. Thanks, Destiny.
The problem is when you start to relabel what your opponents are talking about into some like crazy strawman that nobody believes in, I feel like you just heard everything. Nothing gets done. There's no valuable conversation anymore.
But what is there to be said about it? Gamergate is a harassment movement that was created by four trainers who are mad because some indie dev.
Come on.
Huh. So you've had a problem with doing this for years, eh?
But the problem is, like, Gamergate, I think, perfectly encapsulates everything that's wrong with humanity, because both sides just started arguing against other things that nobody believes or supports. Like,
Then why is everything that's mass uploaded on Kotaku in Action about feminist censorship bull?
Because those are... Why is everything that's on SRS uploaded about how every single man is a rapist and a pedophile on Reddit?
Okay, you know for a fact that that's satire and one action.
No! You can't hide behind that!
You really seem to do this with every side you disagree with. From liberals to Republicans. You basically just assume everyone that isn't on your side is the most extreme boogeyman version available for that ideology. Although, you seem to be the most egregious with this while talking about Republicans.
Hey, here I am, Nancy Pelosi, saying this country needs a strong Republican Party, and we do. Not a cult, but a strong Republican Party.
Oh, and they love it. Oh, and the liberals love it. Oh, do they love it? I hate her. I genuinely hate her, you know? This is the reason why that shared value shit with liberals only goes so far, you know? Because the audience is clapping, aren't they? It's not just her, it's a common sentiment. This idea that... I like how inherently contradictory her argument is here. Basically, she's saying, Republicans are lying. They'll claim to care about these issues, but then when it comes to the votes on the Senate floor, they won't vote in line with what they say they believe in. And then she goes on to say, we don't need to defeat the Republicans. We need to convince them. Convince them of what? You just acknowledged they were lying. What, convince them to not lie? How does that work?
You see, Vaush, there's a difference between Republican officials and the party themselves. Even if you think Republican officials are lying to the public, why would you give up on trying to convince their voter base? Honestly, this just seems to be a very inefficient way of converting us to your communist utopia.
The problem here is that Nancy Pelosi is waxing poetic about this fantastical core of the Republican Party that she seems to believe, that liberals seem to believe exists. This magical, noble core of the Republican Party, you know. Liberals can't fathom the idea of wielding power, disgust them because they're weak and spineless by nature.
Okay, what kind of schizo post is this, Vaush? What does the Republican Party, being, by your words, crazy, have anything to do with liberals wielding power?
The problem with this little theory of theirs is that the modern day Republican Party, the actual Republican Party, is a psychotic shit pit, a dumpster fire of conspiracy theories and a desire to personally murder every minority that lives within the borders of this country.
What?
There is no, like, core noble Republican Party, you know? They're psychopaths. We need to convince them, not no! This is, and I'm not exaggerating, and you can think that I'm exaggerating here if you want, but you're wrong to do so. This is as psychotic as employing this language in, like, mid to late 20s, like Germany. Like, obviously in retrospect, nowadays, most people would look at that situation and go like, oh yeah, like, you weren't gonna reason with Nazis, of course. Like, clearly that wasn't gonna work. But at the time, that's what they fucking did. They did do that. Seriously.
Well, I guess I should be thankful that you will at least have a very hard time of convincing people to your nonsense when you use arguments like that. Well, as some of you already know, the channel name is changing, probably by the next video. It's going to be something along the lines of Grifter, possibly something in front of it, or maybe behind it. We'll see. Anyway, check out this video I made on how Disney is brainwashing your children.
These are monsters. These are not human beings. They are demons wearing human flesh.